Hello, RWorld. Welcome back to another episode of RWorld Talk. Super excited today because we've got the Girls with Grit with us this morning. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
The Girls with Grit has built such a powerful community for women in real estate. Before we dive into your individual stories that we're about to get to, can you each share with us what grit means to you and how it plays a role in shaping not only your careers, but also the mission of this community?
Oh my gosh. I think for us, grit is all about resilience and making sure that you are going after whatever your dream is without having kind of the exterior noise from other people telling you what you can or can't do or should or shouldn't be able to do. And also being able to take the steps to actually make that happen, not just letting life happen to you.
Okay, fantastic. How about you?
Grit means doing what you don't want to do and making sure that you can make it happen no matter what, even when your back's up against the wall. We're all moms, and a lot of people in our community are moms, and so we've kind of just taught them you got to have grit sometimes and go for it, even when you really don't want to, but you know you need to.
Moms definitely have grit. How about you, Lauren?
We try, yeah, for sure. I mean, same sentiment. Like grit to me is just getting up and do it when you don't want to do it, and just being consistent, even if it's just moving the needle a little bit every single day, to be able to look back and be like, man, I did it. I made some big moves.
There you go.
Yeah.
All about women power. We are going to be coming off of Women Rock the Biz Summit. Hopefully you guys had a chance to meet these ladies, interact with them, hear what they had to say. We are going to continue on with this podcast, interviewing them one by one, so that way we could hear more about their individual stories. So we're going to start off now with Tara. So Tara, what advice would you give women just starting out in real estate to uncover and cultivate their own grit?
Well, I think that it kind of starts with realizing that you are in control of your own personal limitations, right? So this is not, your life isn't happening to you. You actually have a lot of control over what the end of the story looks like. And so I think a lot of times what happens is we feel like, oh, well, this is something that's coming at me and I only have one way to respond to it. So understanding that you can respond in a way that is true to your goals. And then also, especially people that are coming into the industry, this is a lot of hard work. Like, let's be honest, there is a lot of failure inside of real estate because people come into it thinking like, oh, I'm going to get out of it exactly what I put into it in this high up area.
Yep.
But then they realize that like, maybe I'm not putting into it as much as I thought that I should be. So recognizing that you are going to get what you put into it, but you have to put every piece of effort into it.
Yeah, I love that you touched on being proactive rather than reactive, but at the same time, it's so funny because you see people that are getting into real estate and they think, oh my gosh, I get to make my own hours and I'm going to make all this money. I think that's a huge misconception for people. Sure, you can make your own hours, but you are going to be working a heck of a lot more hours than you ever imagined that you were going to.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not an easy business and this is not for the faint of heart. You definitely need to have some grit if you're going to get into this industry.
Absolutely. I always joke. I'm like, yeah, you get to make your own hours. You get to choose which 60 hours a week you're going to work for the first 5 years of your career.
That is so true. And certainly, obviously, getting into this business, you've got to have that mentality that you could really make sure that you're disciplined and you're going to put systems in place. If you want to be able to work whatever hours you want to work, there better be some systems that are behind that goal that are helping you achieve whatever it is that you're really going for, trying to make that owned wealth for your family.
Absolutely.
What advice do you have for women who may be facing bias or barriers, which I'm sure you guys have never felt bias or barriers?
Never. That's never happened to us. But, it's funny that you say it like that because I do think that sometimes people look at people that have found a high level of success and they think that they don't ever reach they don't ever have obstacles or they don't ever have things that go wrong. And the reality is that the higher that you go and the more successful you become, like nobody is immune to having issues come up that they have to overcome, right? We always say new levels, new devils, right? And so when it comes to that, I think that it's taking the lead role in your own story. It's saying that, you know what, I'm going to do what it takes to be successful and recognizing that you have full control over what the end of your story looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. How many times do you think you fell flat on your face on your way up to the top of success?
I have failed 10 times as many times as most people have tried. Like literally, that's actually, it's the truth, right? And that's why we have found success is because you have to be brave enough to say, this is what I want and I'm going to go for it it so hard that I don't care if I look stupid. I don't care if I actually said that my resolution for this year was like, I want to look dumb. And what I mean by that is I want to put myself in places that I'm uncomfortable, that I'm not 100% sure of myself, because that's where you grow and that's
Big
where you
time.
learn and that's where you find that new level that you're reaching for.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. So let's continue on that path. How can you really overcome those challenges when it comes to the bias and the barriers that are set in front of you? How do you carve your own path to success?
Well,
Because it's different for everybody.
it definitely is. I think that the one thing that kind of remains consistent, though, is competence is confidence, right? So the more that you
Love
learn, the more that you put yourself in situations where you're developing, whether it's business or personally. I'm big on personal development, but so the more that you go for it, you're going to feel more comfortable. And then when you do come up against those obstacles or somebody's telling you that they can't, you're like, I absolutely can. I know that I can. And you watch me, right? So
Yeah, and I'm sure you've been on some stages doing some talks before. What was it like the first time you ever hit the stage? I mean, for me, I went blind, I went deaf. I had no idea what words were coming out of my mouth. And I think like everybody goes through that, but the more and more you do it, then you could just storm up onto that stage, grab a microphone and do your
and you
hit.
just go 100 miles. It does. And it is a little bit scary the first time. But what I will say is that the anticipation and all of the thinking and the worry that led up to it was 100 times worse than anything that could have gone wrong in that moment, right? Like you always think like, oh, what if you're not gonna fall off the stage. Like you have a million dreams that you're gonna fall. You're not gonna.
Well, you may.
Well, you're not. Just
Yeah, you're not. Okay, so thank you for answering those for us. Certainly great tips for success. And I think that what you say really resonates with the listeners right now. Really thinking about all those people that are struggling to break into this business or those who have already been in for a couple of years and they feel like they keep hitting roadblocks. They've got now Tara that they can look up to and say, you know what, I've hit the roadblocks. I kept on pushing. I had that grit and I finally made my own path and became
Absolutely.
successful.
absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, we're going to get Lauren up here and we're going to have a couple of questions for Lauren. And don't worry, guys, we are going to get to Jamie as well. But Tara, thank you for talking with us.
Thank
We'll see you in a second. Okay, we got some questions for Lauren coming up now. Lauren, we are hearing from Tara and Jamie that you are the funny one of the group. So we're going to have some fun with you here.
Sure, it's fine.
Okay, no pressure at all. We're just going to have a simple conversation. So tell me, from your coaching experience, what are some of the most common hurdles women are facing in this field, and how do you guide them through those challenges?
Yeah, I think for us and for the group of women that we've taught and had the pleasure of coaching, really, balancing work and family is a huge one. And I think one of the ways we've coached is just how we've grown our real estate business. And it was honestly, you just got to figure it out. Like your day might not look like a 9 to 5, right? If you have kids in preschool, you might have to work really hard from 9 to 12 while you have them in half day, and you might have to start back over again at 9 or 10 at night. And I think just giving women permission to be like, hey, just do what works for you,
Right.
you know? So stop trying to like get all this mom guilt about like not being able to balance both. I don't even know if balance is real. Like you honestly have to just kind of figure out how to harmonize the two, right? So that's been a big thing for us. And I think just giving them permission and giving them the tools to help them like kind of, ease their way through that. Because as a mom and as a wife and as an entrepreneur, like every single season is going to look different, right?
Right.
There's always going to be that struggle no matter what season of life you're in. And so I think that's just been powerful. And also like being a part of the community, them just feeling like they're not alone in those thoughts has been super good. So yeah.
Okay. I love that I'm asking you about coaching and you say, just got to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, legit, like
Pay you good money for that.
but it's wild, like balancing work and family. And then I would say the other big thing is just overthinking. A lot of our community and we've done it, right? Everybody's guilty of it.
Yeah, that's not even a women thing.
Everybody does it. And I think just people overthink to the point where they're just paralyzed by all of it and
Right.
they don't even know where to start. And it can be the simplest thing. And you're like, girl, seriously, like you could Google that, one, or two, you could just put it out there. And if it flops, who cares? And if you have a marketing idea and you're like, this is really great and I'm really excited about it, just roll with it. Nobody's going to know if it doesn't work out. So,
And if it doesn't work out, you change it next time.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually the chairman for our leadership development committee and our leadership academy. The majority of our leadership academy went to Women Rock the Biz, but something that you just touched on when it comes to people who are overthinking things, we put everybody through their like disc profiles,
Mhm.
and you've got these people that we call thinkers, and the thinkers are ones that we watch out for and make sure that they're paired up with the right people, because that personality trait of a thinker, those people get stuck inside their heads thinking about the past and the present and the future and exactly how they're going to make this thing so perfect
Right.
nothing ever gets done. So they have
Exactly.
this idea and they hash it out for so long that the idea never comes to fruition. They never work towards whatever the goal is. So we got to make sure that we pair them up with people that are going to pull them out of their shell a little bit and say, don't be so much inside your head. Let's just lay the idea out, hash it out amongst each other and figure out a way that we're going to, accomplish that goal. And I think that's really important in our business for people to do, like you just said with marketing.
Mhm.
If you're going to spend all day, every day thinking about that marketing plan, you're never going to put it in the
Nope,
ocean.
you won't. I mean, we teach a lot on client events in our coaching program, and it's crazy. We have some girls that will just, okay, they told me to do it. I'm going to do it. They post a social media graphic, and you're like, do you know what kind of food you're going to have? Have you done invitations? They're like, we don't know, but we're going to plan it. We're going to put it out there and plan it.
Figure it
And
out.
then you've got the other people on the flip side that are just like, they have to get all the details done. And then life happens, right? Or a big closing blows up, or they get new buyers into town or whatever, and it never gets done.
And you're
So-
planning the summer soiree, but you're already in December and it never happened.
Exactly. So I think overthinking is it's a problem, especially in real estate, because everything's coming at us so quick,
Right.
Sometimes we just have to be like, just execute.
Yeah, for sure. So can you describe one moment that stands out to you where a member of the collective achieved a big breakthrough, something that significantly elevated their real estate career?
Yeah, and I know this might not actually sound super significant, but for me it was, and I know for the girls it was too. I actually had a phone call last week with one of our coaching students, Elisa out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And she just called me, and it was just a very just heartfelt conversation. And she said, girls, I know it doesn't seem like I'm winning in all these areas with closings and numbers and transactions, but she goes, my husband actually came up to me and said, you know what, Elisa, you're so much more confident, and you just radiate confidence, as being a part of this coaching community.
You've
And
got to celebrate those wins.
yeah. And I'm like, that is huge. If
Huge.
we can teach a woman how to be more confident in themselves and in business, the transactions will come, right? That will eventually spill over into your production.
Right.
But I just thought that was huge.
I think that is huge. I mean, my goodness, to give somebody a gift like that, give them the gift of confidence. You think about the people that are successful in real estate. Those are the confident people that are out there being social, meeting new people, networking with purpose.
right.
You have to have a crazy amount of confidence to go out there and network with purpose.
Right.
You can't be the wallflower just sitting in a corner. You go to the big networking event, but then you don't talk to anybody. You've got your little martini in the corner by yourself. That's not going to get you any business. It's not going to get you any referrals.
Right.
And we see that all the time when we go to big conferences and things like that. You've got a team of people that's always meeting people from across the country, and then you've got another team of people that just
Yep.
sort of stays with their own friends. That is their safe place.
Right. It spills out into every area of your business. Aside from that, we've had plenty of our coaching students be like, I've tripled my business. I've doubled my business. I got my biggest transaction. I was able to, actually pay my taxes this year, right? Little things like that.
That's not a little thing.
No, you're right. It's not. It can be a huge thing, especially in our industry.
Hey, if you get a huge tax bill, that means you had a really good.
Yeah, exactly. But it's constant, and they're so gracious to us to give us that feedback. And honestly, sometimes when you're in the trenches, you're like, "Am I actually making a difference?" But hearing that kind of stuff from them is huge. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So networking, I just touched on networking. It's often said to be the key to success in real estate. So what are some ways that realtors can build a very strong professional network while they still foster genuine relationships, lasting relationships? Because there's a difference between networking where you just say, here's my card, give me a referral, I happen to be in South Florida.
right.
Or there's that networking where I've got a fantastic guy in my office that people from across the country send like he sends out referrals, and they send back things that like meaningful things. He'll go and send somebody a box of oranges if they send a referral down to Florida. Things like that, and constant, weekly phone calls with their networking groups and stuff like that to make sure that those relationships are something that's really going to stick and last long term. So that way nobody would ever give any business to anybody that's not in their, networking group. So what are some ways that we can build on those relationships?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, the random business cards at the gas station or like that never worked for me.
Sold.
I mean, it never worked. It might work for some people, but honestly, I think just leaning into whatever life season you're in. And like you said, like building those genuine relationships. What does that look like for what life season you're in?
Right.
If you have small kids, if it's, I'm going on play dates, I'm taking my kids to the park, I'm going to meet other moms, right? If it's, you have kids in school, maybe it's volunteering at the school, or if you don't have kids, if you're an empty nester, maybe volunteering at whatever charities, dear to your heart.
Great idea.
I think it's just like being a good person and then adding value to those other people in your life and not always just asking for the referral. I think if you show up and you build actual relationships, people do care what you do and they want to support you.
Yeah.
It's all about just adding value, and you can't ask for anything until you've made those deposits into other people's lives. So
I love that you said.
yeah,
Pour yourself into others, and it's going to come back to you big time.
yeah, for sure.
Gosh, I'm just like laughing to myself inside. Like, yeah, the business card at the gas station is just
They're like, wear your name tag. Make sure you got your name tag on. Like, really?
well.
Funny.
You know what? I'll give you guys a tip that are listening right now. Everybody's got a smartphone in their hand at all times. Every time you put somebody's contact into your phone, you've got a note section in there. So put in whatever it was that you guys talked about. If you saw them, you met them at the park with their kids, you met them at the park with, Snoopy the dog, make sure that you make notes that they're a dog lover, they've got 2 children, this is their kid's school, and all those things that you find out about somebody. You should really be building a database that's got all of that info, because that is gold.
It's huge. And people want to feel seen. Like, have you ever met the person where they just remember your name and they're like, Lauren, it was so, and I'm like, you used my name in a sentence and that felt really good, So it's just like, it's that kind of thing when you can remember details, like you said, about people's life and like actually give a crap, right?
Yeah, so normal human needs. I mean, we need shelter, we need to feel love. Somebody remembers your name, you're like, oh, it's in the heart. Okay, well, Lauren, thank you for talking with us. We're going to bring Jamie up here, and we're going to find out something about the Rhinestone Cowgirl. What's going on with that?
Okay.
All right, now we're up with Jamie. Jamie, why don't you tell us what role do events like the Girls with Grit Live, Southern Roots, which is coming up in April, and something like Rhinestone Cowgirl from years past, how does that play into shaping the future of women-led real estate?
Oh, I'm so glad you're asking this question. A lot of our community, they kind of sometimes hide behind our Facebook group. And so for us, it's all about getting in the right room, getting in connection in person with people and making those connections, learning from people that have gone before you, right? Because I think there's something about when you meet others that are doing things that you want to do, you can learn something. It compresses time for you, and it helps you, get to the end goal and that finish line a lot faster. There's a lot of women that have come to our conferences in the past, and they really have blown up their business from maybe just 1 or 2 tiny little tweaks, or 1 or 2 relationships from people that they met at that conference.
Sure.
I can think of one girl on the top of my head that she now has, I want to say, over 45 doors. She came to one of our conferences 3 years ago.
Okay.
And in that short amount of time, she now owns 45 doors just from learning at that event. So sometimes it's just that 1 or 2 little tidbit that sparks something in you. Maybe it's borrowed belief from another woman that you see on stage or something like that. But I think it's super important. For so long, especially earlier on in my career, I didn't realize the importance of getting in the right rooms and investing in myself and in my business. But that's truly why we started doing these live events, is we wanted to make sure that there was a space specific for women in real estate, that they could do these things and just be unapologetic about building big business and creating those lasting relationships.
I think that's fantastic. I couldn't agree with you more. You could put a lot of information out there for people to read and people to look through, but if you could actually sit down and have a conversation with somebody about how that actually worked with worked for your business when you implement an idea that you hear, and now you're at a conference and somebody says, you say, oh, wow, that's a great idea. And the person sitting next to you is going to go, you know what? I actually implemented that last year and this is what it's done for me.
Exactly.
And it gives you that ability to now do a little bit of brainstorming with, okay, how exactly did you implement that? What exactly did it do? Is it that you ended up purchasing a bunch of doors, or is it that you were able to sell a bunch of doors? I mean, really, what did it do for you? And I think that's fantastic to point out. We always tell our members, get out there and go to the conference, go to the meetings, go to all these
Get involved.
great things that we're putting on and networking events. Yeah, get involved. So tell us how that creates some momentum. Obviously, they come to the conference, they see what it is, they get to network, but really, what are they taking away as far as that momentum is concerned?
Well, you heard Lauren say that really sometimes it's just having that confidence. And so getting in our rooms, especially for women in real estate, it's helping build their confidence. It's helping build those relationships. And it spills over into their business. And they leave the conference and they go back home and they have this borrowed belief from maybe somebody that they heard on stage, and it just helps create that momentum in their business. But you kind of touched on something, and I really want to just say that sometimes it's not just this big idea. It's sitting next to that person, maybe having a drink or going to dinner with people and creating those relationships and saying, hey, I heard you say that you did this, that, or the other. Can you tell me how you did that? And it's being able to spend that time and learn that one little thing that turns that cog in the wheel that gives you that momentum to go home and try it. And something about being in that room gives you that confidence, and you feel fearless to be able to go and execute. And we've seen so many women leave our events and just blow up their business in a very good way very quickly after attending our events. So there's just that momentum is just crazy.
Yeah. Whenever I go to any of these conferences to myself, I've always got books with me. And you go to any conference, you're going to have journals. Everybody's giving out journals. I mean, every company who wants your business is going to give out journals. But I take those journals and I'll write down at the end of the night when I'm decompressing all of the stuff that's happened throughout the course of the day, and just write down a bunch of little tidbits, because there's things that I don't want to forget. And then I'll go back when I'm on the plane on my way back home, or driving back home when I don't read it when I'm driving, but when I get back home, I'll sit down and say, like, what did I learn and what are the real takeaways? Because I'll write down everything that I could think of that I learned that day. And then when you get back home, you could actually pick it apart piece by piece. Yeah. And it's also important to say who you heard that stuff from. Exactly. So that way, if you didn't understand the concept or forget what it was that they told you, you could just go and give them a call and say, hey, I met you at the Girls with Grit Live, and I want to know, can you elaborate? We didn't really get a chance to finish that conversation, and now that's going to help you build those networking relationships. Right. That's what you're there for, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you had to pinpoint one key mindset shift that you think is necessary for success in real estate, what would that be, and why do you think it's vital for women specifically?
Just do the damn thing. I probably wasn't supposed to say that, but we say that. We say that all the time. Like, so many of the women in our community, they just get paralyzed, and it's like, just freaking do it. Just go and do it. Like, and even with us at Girls with Grit, we kind of just built the plane as we were flying it. And sometimes that's just what it takes. You have to. Everything's figure outable, but if you're just paralyzed by the fear of you falling on your face, you'll never amount to what your potential is. So we always say that, like, just freaking do it. Like, you're going to be fine. If it doesn't work, you pivot, you figure it out, you build the plane as you fly. Like, just do it.
Figure out how to change a tire while the car's rolling down the highway.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it feels like that in real estate, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Hey, before I came in here to meet with you all, I was having a day just like that.
Oh, no.
No, it's fine. You've made my day far better. All right, so let's go on to give us another piece of advice. What's one piece of advice that you wish you were given at the start of your own real estate journey?
I really, honestly, I'm trying not to say this in like a pompous, conceited way, but I really wish there was a community and mentors like us when I first started. It would have made my life so much easier as a brand new baby agent. I would have been able to compress time. I would have had people that already went before me that figured it out. Maybe I was too stubborn, or maybe just the internet has just exploded, and, it just makes it easier to obtain that information online with cool podcasts like this and different Facebook groups and information. But really, I think that's one thing. But the second piece of it is just be you. You heard us speak at the event about being audaciously authentic. I wish somebody would have told me that when I was a brand new baby agent, to just be me. Like, I'll attract my perfect clientele, and it's okay to be you. Stand for something, because if you don't stand for anything, like, it's ridiculous. You just can't. And you can't help everyone, right? So be you, be authentic, and your people will find you, and you'll have so much more fun and a better business when you operate that way.
I think that is going to be one of the best takeaways from this podcast, is just be you, because we see it all the time. Those of us who have been in this profession for a while, you see people that are dressing a certain way, car, with this, with that, and the person who is looking to connect with that realtor that's going to be able to sell them the lifestyle that they're looking for is not that person with that
Exactly.
car, with that dress on, or with that suit on, or whatever it is. They're looking for the person who's going to show up with jeans. You act like my
Seriously.
sister. I feel like I can connect with you.
Exactly.
We like the same wine. We like the same, bars or whatever. I think that that's got to be one of the biggest takeaways is to be audaciously authentic.
Yeah, that was our keynote
That's
speech.
incredible. Yeah, that is so good. That's gold right there. So how would implementing that advice early on have shaped your career differently?
I would have just stopped trying to be exactly who I wasn't. And it's exactly what you said. I was trying to dress a certain way and act a certain way. Part of it was because I was a little bit younger in the industry, right? And I felt like I had a chip on my shoulder. I had to prove myself to people. But really, they just want me for me, and that's it. So it took me a little bit longer to figure that out, that I can be me and people like me for me. And the people
Absolutely.
that don't like me for me, I probably don't like them either.
Right.
Like, we're not
I
all
want you in my car.
yeah, we're not tacos. Not everybody can love us, right? So it's fine. Just be you. And that would have helped a little bit, my first 5 years in the industry.
It's awesome.
That's okay.
Awesome. Love that. Well, we're going to let you ladies go and get back to business. I know that you've got to get prepped for Girls with Grit Live Southern Roots, which is coming up in April. I'm going to leave you the floor if there's anything that you want to pitch about Girls with Grit Live.
Yeah, we'd love for you to join our Facebook group. So Women in Real Estate, please join our Facebook group. That's where all the fun happens. We have free Monday coaching every single Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern in that Facebook group. So just go to Girls with Grit Collective. You'll find us. Join the group, not just the business page. And we do hope to see you in Savannah, Southern Roots, in April 11th through 14th. If you want to snag a ticket, just go to girlswithgrit.com/live, and all the details are right there.
Fantastic. That's it for Girls with Grit. Hopefully you guys had a chance to see them at Women Rock the Biz. Fantastic event as always. And if you missed out, make sure that you get out there for next year because it does sell out very quick. So get your tickets early in the year next year. And we will see all of you guys right back here next Friday, 8 a.m. on RWorld Talk.